John Lilly once put it this way: there are no limits at all to the human mind whatsoever, except those we impose on ourselves because of our beliefs. And those limits are also beliefs to be transcended. And that's a view that suggests that the possibilities of human transformation are virtually infinite. And we have no way of knowing the outer horizon of what it means to be human.
And really, to understand all this, everything, you have to go very, very deep into a study of history, consciousness, neurophysiology, everything. You have to be the supreme eclectic type of leaning, and you really have to be wanting to know who you are and what everything's about.
And the thing that you'll find when you go to sacred sites, if you're very humble about it, is that you are on a personal journey, and the sacred site will respond to you in a way that is appropriate only to you. The information is always what you are searching for. And it's the intent you give that energy that defines whether it is used for right action or not. And it is inside these sacred spaces that you will be reminded that you are a god, that you are a bright star.
So what you're trying to do is move through the course without ricocheting off walls or creating karma. You're trying to slide through things smoothly. How do you do that? It's called flowing. There's a technique that you can do that will allow you to touch some part of your inner being that has more knowledge than your conscious state does.
Hey guys, Andre Hodge, Seven of Truth, Infinite Potential Healing with you quite randomly. I wasn't thinking of doing anything or any videos or anything. Just being a bit more passive and not trying to push myself to create for the sake of creating. And it's pretty ironic. I was going to have a session my day today, and it got cancelled. And even in the brewing stage of the session, I got the inspiration of this. So I think it's very important that I go with it and I play with it, and I'll be in brat mode and pain in the ass to metagrew. Because shit invasion, guys. Shit. Alright? So I want to throw a multi-dimensional spanner in their creation of whatever it is, alright? Because I feel that there's what we've sort of done. If I show the image, I might not show all the images by hand. I've done a lot of photos, and so I might show them in parallel to what I say. But what I got during the week, and I've been trying to process a few things. I want to actually talk about the phantom matrix and the money system, because you know I've said about value and energy harvest through the money system, and the image relative to the, I'll show it here. I showed this in the courage to just show up as human each and every day, based on the fact that basically everything's about the phantom matrix and our universe, and Earth is pivotal to things related to stargates and stuff that go well beyond what I'm really willing to get into in any detail. But just say Earth is a very epic strategic location in the universe relative to connection to other aspects and stuff, and so it's a battleground, and we're a bit like the 300, you know, against the Persian onslaught, and we've held off for hundreds of thousands of years. And if you watch the Amplify the Echoes of Our Soul's Ancient Truth, I talked about the Ayani massacre that was the completion of the takeover of the surface. And so we've been in an occupation for 25,000 years. And the Babylon massacre, which was 3470 BC, so 5,000 years ago, there was a big frequency wipe to really distort our bodies and reduce us from a very, very advanced DNA to a very minimal, to box us into this minute level that we have to manage with all this shit going on, and it still hasn't been enough, right? So this is what we've been ground down to. I said basically like Metatron and all his minions, right? So if you look at the US dollar bill and the you know, the pyramid with the all-seeing eye, to me it's all the Metatron eye with all the hierarchical order of the 250 billion year scale underneath him. And so people are out protesting thinking that they're going to take over the pyramid and stuff. You don't even have the context of the scale that we're up against. So yeah, we're set up for failure, thinking that playing the game of what we presently aware of will have an effect. And this video, what I want to do is about the manifestation, but how we're actually feeding the reality by thinking we're not, right? So if I show you the other image, so I showed you this image as well, where, you know, there was a perception of, from that Ayani massacre and the Luciferian covenant, which was about 10,000, 12,000 years ago, that there was always going to be a brewing of consciousness. So the majority of teachers and stuff have been weaponized to sort of seed our interest in this, to hijack us from the Guardians of Earth sort of thing, okay? So I invite you to go back and review them and be thorough, alright? I'm not here to be an entry-level sort of teacher. If you can't get the basics and, you know, you work hard on exploring information and stuff, then you're not really going to understand me. Plus, if you don't heal and all that sort of stuff, it's not my problem what you aren't able to perceive. I'm offering it in a linguistic way that should be very, very simple. I know so many people are actually distorted and blocked from actually hearing me. They get shut down and all this sort of stuff. It's you've allowed shit into you that you don't even know that's out there to interfere with your ability to perceive. All right? I'm not being... healing is something that we can control throughout all this. We can determine our fate and stuff like this. And so if you just say, oh, I've healed once or whatever, it's like, you're not going to be able to really endure. The more you become aware, the more you become a target. And this video might help you realize a great deal that's going on and see it, and then be able to really measure yourself and have the courage to be honest with yourself. You know, I'm going to at some point do a video about be humble like the dust, or versus like Star-Lord boss mode, right? And sometimes you have to boost your, like I've called myself Star-Lord, Crocodile, Star-Lord, Wolverine, Aladdin, Dundee, and I've been prepared to look like a fool saying that, but it's important. Like most people, they misinterpret whether they should be amplify their self-awareness or self-acceptance or ego, if you want to use that from a contextual point of view, that the society seems as bad, or you need to be humble. And it's like with healing, the humble road is always the best. All right, there's always more that we can do. We don't know what has been done to us. And my attitude of psychic defense, for instance, I don't try and defend myself, I try and recover quick, because I don't know the full spectrum of shit that's gone on to us. I have a good idea, and I can work through it with people and overlay their bodies and stuff, but you know, the Metatron box to drill us down to nothing in the unawareness that's happened since the Ione massacre and stuff, or the Babylon massacre. We are set up for failure, but what I'm just suggesting, it hasn't been enough, right? So I might call this video, I heard this quote which was pretty cool, and just I've been trying to get, during the week, exploring more of the Ashiana Dean recordings and stuff and sharing them with Captain Marvel, and came across the actual mechanics of manifestation and stuff from her point of view. So if I can get this done quick and find that clip, I'll actually add it to the end. If I can't, then I might add it at another time in the future and link it up to this video. I'm going to try and just get this out pretty quick, because I'm already behind relative to when I normally would release something. So I'm just going to get this out and play with the randomness, alright? So, but what I heard her say in a quote was, be the director of your own destiny, alright? So I invite you to raise the bar on yourself and what you think about yourself and what is, and take the you know, do the multidimensional spirit muscle training of being humble like the dust and saying, shit, there's a lot that I actually do here that Andre says that I can get better on, because I'm actually probably feeding it, all right? Feeding what's going on, okay? Because I just sort of had this conversation with Captain Marvel, and it was like, isn't it interesting how nothing seems predictable, all right? That when everything unfolds, it seems obvious, okay? But it seems so consistently inconsistent. There's something going on here. And so I think from my perspective, a lot of people have stuff in them that are feeding. So you imagine spyware in a computer that hooks into your computer and reads everything you do, all right? So a lot of the aware people, from my perspective, have probably got energetic infiltration sort of software in their energy field, and they're feeding the algorithm of everything going on. Because you'll see what happens in the end when I explain this. I'm going to try and do this pretty short, not too long, to actually make it quite elegant and simple. And the images I've tried to do pretty quick will hopefully explain a lot. Alright? So, what if you've got more potential than what you presently realize to be a director of your own destiny? And I haven't done a video on it or anything like that, but my attitude, alright? People want to be in a collective, alright? They want to be unity, kumbaya bullshit, alright? And what I know is, going back to my computer eras, they used to, like in computer servers, not your computer that you have at home, they used to have this thing called SCSI disks, where it could be like 8 hard disks all linked up on this chain, alright? And they could all be accessible, right? So say on a computer you might have 1 or 2 hard disks. You imagine a server with 8 that can handle a lot of data, right? But in that sort of, it's like going back many generations now, because I haven't been in computers for 10, 12 years, so they evolve every 18 months sort of thing, new technologies come out. But this system was called a SCSI disk, SCSI interface, alright? And I'm not going to explain everything. Most of you guys don't give a shit about computers, alright? There's a untechnical versus technical sort of thing within the spiritual community. So I've got mozzies and stuff attacking me like crazy. I might be melatonin if I start like sleep medicine if I start talking about computers too much. But in this sort of system of disks, you could have it one spinning at 15,000 RPM, 10,000, 7,000, blah blah blah. All right. And the thing was, like, the 15,000 disks would be like a Ferrari disk. They cost a lot. The 8,000 would be like a Honda or whatever, right? And the thing is, all right, even if you spent all that money and did all that development and stuff, say you was a 15,000 RPM disk, all right, the whole structure in the SCSI disk would only work at the slowest pace, at the pace of the slowest disk in the collection, all right? So say if you had a very expensive disk that you spent $1,000 on to work at 15,000 RPM, if you only had a 7,200 RPM disk in your SCSI bus, all right, the whole system would only work at the slowest speed. So my attitude with collective sort of shit, you only work as fast as the slowest member of the group, all right? And a lot of people want to be in collectives because they don't want to be a target and all this sort of shit. So it's a bit like when you should watch Altered Carbon when he's like talking about using everyone as cannon fodder. All right. I go spiritually selfish and independent. I will, like I've said, watch stuff 10 to 15 hours a day. I'll do it in my sleep and stuff until I get it, and I'll get it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. That's where I've got a lot of the concepts recently, because I've had to unpack a lot of the shit that's gone onto me to measure, like, how we fucking set up so bad, you know, with all these apparently sealed time streams, dimensions and galaxies sort of people, alright? They're just monorail salesmen, us. Go back to Simpsons and watch the monorail salesman episodes. That's how I felt like. I felt like I was Homer Simpson, the conductor of the fucking monorail. Alright? So, whatever annoyance you have, imagine what that feels like. But yeah, so what I'm inviting you to be is selfish in your spiritual development. Be independent and go as hard as you can. Stop worrying about fitting into a group or these people or whatever like that. You don't know the level of influences that are going on to these people that might be derailing you, because in the future, like this sort of thing, okay, you're going to do something important, and the more that you're involved in, the more potential there is for influence. So it may feel like from a manifestation period perspective, you feel lonely of being in a group, but disconnect for it, create the space for the opportunity to manifest, all right? So in this episode, being the director of your own destiny, okay? What I'm inviting you to take yourself and your manifestation to a whole new level and be responsible and courageous of acknowledging, yes, that's what I was doing. And what if you just get that and you own the responsibility of it and you shift, okay? So what I'll do is I'll just get into it. I'll try and get into this flow. So this is just the first diagram, alright? So say from this side, that's where we are, and we want to be something other than what we are, alright? From a manifestation point of view. So what I'm saying is, the what we don't think we are, or the what we aren't, and the what we want, that has a potential value. The manifestation sort of creation sort of reality that we're in, right? So the key is recognize that you want to be something other than you are in this moment, right? This is what it all comes down to, being selfish. And just like when I do pranic healing and stuff like that, my attitude is I'm not giving you anything else, right, than other than who you are. I'm just clearing out the crap that might be blocking your spleen chakra for you to be able to sponge up the universal life force all around us and stuff like that. And what I say, like, there's people out there that says, oh, you got a gift but it's blocked, or you got this or it's not there and stuff. My attitude is we are everything we are in any moment, but if we allow ourselves to entertain those concepts, we co-create the absence of it, right? So you might be up here, level of consciousness, because someone said that to you, I'm just showing the top there, right? You might limit yourself to there because you believe what someone else says that you're not, right? When in actual fact you're there all the time in any moment, and it's what you perceive about yourself, okay? So maybe go back and listen to that a few times. I'm not going to repeat anything. I'm just trying to get through this and offer it. It's something pretty dense, all right? So say, what you do not want, you co-create. And what I'm saying here is that that can actually be harvested by the phantom matrix aspects here to co-create the reality and stuff like that. So this is from an individual level, all right? So just think about that. What you do not want, what you think you don't have, you create. So the gap of what you don't allow yourself to accept is where the universe creates for you the absence of that, right? So this is like the contrarian view. We have to think. I'm inviting you to think differently, have a different concept of yourself and stuff. So just measure yourself in your linguistics and stuff. How many times have you, geez, I'm shit, or I want that, or I can't afford that, and that sort of things. We co-create the outcome that we don't want, and we're masters of it, right? And a lot of you aren't entry-level manifestors and stuff like that, but just go with me and just have the courage to say, yeah, maybe I'm aware of this stuff, right? So the potency of what I'm not creating is very, very potent, right? Because this is about getting into feeding the reality, okay? So if I move to the next image, this is just an expansion of that. So the gap of what you do, what you want. I talk about gaps a lot. So say that from this moment to some future point, what you do not have, right? You believe time is required. I'm just inviting you right now to think about the potency of this moment, right? This breath. How do you want the reality to seed stuff for you, right? How do you want your life to be from this moment on? Like really this breath, okay? Because what we think we don't have, we are the drivers of our own destiny, okay? And there's a staggering level of shit against us, alright? And we all have the opportunity to be victims of it, reduce DNA and all that sort of shit. But what I'm trying to invite you to do is, in spite of all that, what if you master this still? Then you become impenetrable to anything that can be done against us. You might need patching up, you might just fall off, you might need to bench yourself and pull back and re-establish this foundation and stuff. That's cool. We all have down days and all that sort of shit, alright? As I said, the strategic importance of Earth is phenomenal on a level we can't really comprehend, because most of the spiritual teachers, as I'll get into, have been seeded to get us to co-create the reality we're in and see the reality as always, alright? So yeah, just really have the courage to take your discipline on this to a whole new level. Just don't say, yeah, I'm Captain Starlog Crocodile Dundee, mate. I'm fucking so good. Maybe you're not. Maybe go dust mode and see where you can improve and enjoy the self-mastery of how you can always be better in any moment. Alright? So this is just an extension of that for the individual level, alright? See the absence, the gap of what we think we aren't in the moment relative to some future point. We create that carrot on a stick, alright? That's how we create the absence, by thinking we have absence, alright? And like I said, so much is done to make us feel this way, alright? But just say you're here because you're a conscious, you're into expansion mechanics and stuff like that. Your potency of creation is vastly more than the majority, alright, of the unaware, okay? So just contemplate these, okay? So why I'm showing the basics of manifestation, and you probably got it down, you probably understand it. This is where I'm saying there's another variable, like the chips that can be fed to feed the algorithm of who we are, to actually distort the outcome and stuff, and the reality in that, alright? So say if you're like me, you're an information person, and you do have a ability to appreciate what other people are doing, alright? So I'll show you this image. So say there's, down the bottom there's us, the aware, and then there's the collective up this top bit here with a group, alright? And see the line across with the arrows going above is, say, the level of awareness we perceive, and we want other people to increase their awareness, alright? So what a lot of people in the community can do is they can look at that, the unaware majority, and say and have a judgment, alright, of how unaware they are. So when you go into judgment is, there's a saying, judge not lest ye be judged, alright? So you're seeing the reflection, okay, of yourself potentially, alright? So I'm inviting you, anytime you see the collective is unaware, have the courage to ask, what am I not seeing, alright? You might have done thousands of hours, years like me, and all this sort of stuff, and this can be a constant thing that comes up, alright? But instead of wanting to be in a collective like the disc sort of set up and running at the slowest route, what if you go spiritually selfish and you observe everything that you get, and the instant you get it, and what if you invite yourself to see that there's more right here in this moment that I'm not seeing, and I invest that energy into contemplating that. How can I expand my own awareness? Like this line down the bottom is your awareness, all right? So how often do you see the masses are unaware, all right? All the fucking time, all right? So maybe you're not freaking seeing anything that you need to see, and you're locked in where you're locked in because you've got shit influencing you and stuff to create the feeding of the system. Okay, so if we move to the next image.
Hey, I'm just going to insert a little bit here into this section of the recording because I know I missed it, and reviewing it after I know this is actually really important. And that's the fact that when you observe society and you see the section of society that's unaware, you project onto them that you feel that they should have more awareness relative to where you're at. The absence of that, what you do is you actually empower them to not be aware. So you feed their absence of awareness. So this is a very important manifestation aspect that we all do at times. So I invite you to just contemplate this and nullify it, because it has a lot of potency if you are very aware. Alright? Enjoy, guys.
So this is just taking that to the next level and visualizing what I've just explained. All right. So I'll give you a little bit to look at that. The collective, we're influenced by the narrative, media, social media and all that, the filtering of truth and all that to create a narrative to get them to perceive what they perceive. All right. And what we do with our appreciation of getting beyond all those things to actually integrate more data to expand our awareness to include more things that we feel has a basis of truth, right? What we feel is that collective should be down here with us. And we want that. Do you understand? We want people to see what we see, because then you know that they'll have a better life and stuff like that, right? What I'm saying, right, is wanting that. That's a variable that is desired, right? So what if that exact scenario is created to actually harvest and co-create our reality in a manifestation way, to have this constantly go around in a cycle, all right? Do you understand? What if a high level Metatron, Metagroup and all the minions know exactly what we want, right? And they play it. They do it deliberately, because what I'll get into is the next one, okay? We want the unaware to see the truth. So that's a algorithm, an equation variable, alright? So how about a lot of people go on the cycle of projecting onto them, seeing what they want to see, trying to get them to get taught to our will, and then they actually get polarized and go back there, alright? Because they've probably got influences and stuff, and whenever you hit the trigger of truth, that shuts them down and completes this, alright? So we walk a fine line and stuff, and it's cool, it sucks, alright? But that's sort of what's going on, alright? But this is what I'm inviting you to take responsibility for with your potency of your awareness, alright? This is a big thing. This might be really quite shocking, alright? So say I've got like the unaware 90%, the aware 10%, okay? And I'm just using numbers to demonstrate the concept here, alright? So the unaware potency compared to the aware is very minimal. But how about the reality seeding, alright? So the aware feed 70% of the reality, okay, by their projection of that mechanics that I just showed. Like your individual and your potency, being able to see how things are and wanting something other, is nourishment to create what we don't want. Do you think the system knows us so well that they can reduce our DNA and awareness level via a magnetic field sort of schism that shocks us so bad that reduces our DNA, right? After a couple 100,000 years of invasion and creating all the APN network and all this sort of stuff and creating the skin suits like Enoch and Thoth, right? Thoth being Quetzalcoatl that goes back to the Mayan era 500 years ago, that seeds the Mayan calendar and all that, to see this 2012 movement that we've had like the last 10 years, like 10 years ago or whatever, that derails us all, that they don't know us and what we want, alright? And so what we want, instead of hindering it, they actually encourage it, and they put chips and shit in us. And the chips, I say, that are like hacking sort of things that use us as a algorithm to perceive the mechanics of the reality and use it and feed it and actually inflame it to piss us off, to harvest us more, because our anger and our lack of emotional mastery is nourishment for all this shit. Are you willing to contemplate that you've actually fed the reality by playing into all this, right? Sucks to be known that well and know what we'll do, alright? And this is where I say the contrarian view and doing the opposite of what we do and all this sort of stuff, alright? So if I go to the next image, so this was where I was getting to the image early on that I showed the false teachers and stuff, right? Say Metaguru and all the minions of the Phantom Matrix sort of bullshit, they know us so well, right? That then they actually see the false teachers, alright? The majority of false teachers, all the UFO community and all that. I'm inviting you to consider everything that everyone talks about UFOs as part of the Phantom Matrix, alright? And it's had a role in creating us and harvesting and benefiting from us, all probably aligned with the Phantom Matrix, alright? And all those beings that work with those species are all, you know, when I said the dollar bill, you know, and the all-seeing eye in the pyramid, they're all species in that hierarchical order, alright, of the 250 billion year level, alright? So we're talking a couple thousand years and low dimensional level humanity and stuff, as the bird agrees, like, right on, aren't I? Two of you. That this is all being fed, and a lot of the teachers are being seeded to actually, the false teachers are seeded to, like, seed these concepts that aren't aligned with the truth, that we feed to co-create with the reality, because we have a trust in what they say as being truth, but it's false. And so the distortion is feeding, you know, the narrative and stuff that gets seeded, and we're pretty big contributors to it, alright? Because we empower it by the manifestation of what is not our case now. So the future is seeded, and that one is harvested to feed it. So it always seems like it should be something other than what it is, alright? It's really interesting, alright? So have the courage to contemplate what I'm saying here, and be brutally honest with yourself, and how little we actually know, and how obvious we are, and how much we're played, okay? So this is just a diagram of how, from my perspective, an effort to demonstrate how the future is seeded and created in the reality that plays out, alright? So it doesn't matter if you're aware or unaware. We're all perceived, you know, if we've been hacked, and our algorithm of our predictability is so obvious, you know, all our emotions and stuff and all our relationships and all that is all known. And so we want a better world other than what we have, because we don't live in the moment and breathe and just master ourselves and think we're something other than what we truly are, to lock us down and all that sort of stuff. So Metaguru and his minions, they need us to seed it and feed it. So there is a future seeding that's pretty solid, but the real future isn't, right? So we think logical stability and all that sort of stuff, and everything opposite is done to want a future that has a gap of where we are now, to keep us constantly wanting something other than we have, to feed it, right? And they create things that lock us down and laws and all that get us pissed off. So then we brew our rage and anger, and then we want to outlet it, and that creates it as well, right? Because we're in a massive co-creation always, going forward and in the moment, right? But I'm just inviting you to contemplate things a bit deeply and be brutally honest on yourself, and use everything that's going on as weight training in your multidimensional skill sets. Because what if you, as one of the awake that is so potent, like I said, changes? What rug do you pull from under this bullshit, right? Okay? What if I invite you to do something different than you've already done countless other times in the past, right? Stop worrying about other people. Amplify your potency and be spiritually selfish and do your clearing on another level, right? What is the potential then if you do everything that you haven't done in the past, right? Right? So if you get caught up in all this stuff, maybe that's an indicator you need to do something. Get some help, do some healing, have a salt bath, right? While I'm saying that, one of the things I found quite interesting in the last week, even for myself, right, is I started drinking 2 to 4 glasses of water extra last week. What I realized, I allowed myself to get dehydrated. It's very easy. We've got extreme hot and humidity and stuff like that. You guys might be really cold wherever you are. But what if you just try for a week to have 3 or 4 more glasses of water, right? Because the brain, right, for the liquid crystal sort of thing to work, right? You know, when you have water and electricity, the circuits work better. What if you try just drinking more water for a week, right? And what if you try increasing what you're eating a little bit? Have some more protein. Right? If you have 1 egg or 2 eggs, maybe have 3, all right? Just try a bit more for a week and see where you are, all right? Because I found that's quite interesting for my week. It really, you know, where you get energy depleted and you just feel vague and stuff like that. A lot of it can be just down to dehydration. So just explore with dehydration, see where you are, right? That was just a very subtle, easy potential solution for a lot, right? So if I move on to the next thing for me, so I'm inviting you to just how easy it is to add a bit more water to your daily intake and see what happens, right? So if I show you the next image, so this one, so being the driver of your own destiny, when you understand how it all works and how it's by design, not to work out, then you can allow it to affect you less and get polarized and triggered and all that sort of shit. Because for me, our emotional mastery, our life force is what it's all about. And if you watch Foundational Concepts Part 2 and 3, I talk about life force a lot, alright? So I invite you to go back and be thorough, okay? But what if all this shit is just like a bully trying to push you over the edge to get the reaction, to dob on you as a freaking teacher, alright? And trust me, on the multi-dimensional level, calling shit out, off, it triggers a lot of fucking backlash, alright? Because trust me, a lot of people aren't alive seeing what Thoth has done, okay? A lot of people are lucky to be alive because of that. And I've got a lot of people that I know that have been, yeah, anyway. So this diagram will be very interesting to actually see, because everything is, like I said, the algorithm, like you think things should be, and things don't ever seem to be what you think, all right? And there is a distortion there. There's logic and stability and all that seems to be the opposite, all right? And it's being fed deliberately to create the most craziness for us to feed it and want something other than what we want, to co-create and feed the reality in the absence of that, all right? So what I'm saying out of all these is the aware is actually the aware group, like the alternate research community and expansion mechanics, people like us that are here. Our level of potency, being aware of all this stuff and being on top of our energetic games as best we can and doing healing and stuff. Our level of potency, we could be like 1 million unaware people. So we can be feeding vastly more because we have taken the responsibility on that. So we have an extra level of responsibility to take. All right. And what I'm trying to say is how the reality just fucks with us. All right. And sets us up for failure. And we're like, what the fuck? All right. So have a look at this diagram. We're the aware down the bottom, having an ideal outcome of what we want. Then there's the collective, unaware, influenced by the social media and all that, the narrative has an outcome that we want. So it doesn't really matter what we want. Say Metaguru and all the system are totally across everything, all the options, because we're so 3D 5 cents limited. Even wanting something beyond the 3D 5 cents is extreme, right? Let alone inside that little box, right? So it's totally easily predictable at a very high level. 250 billion year old beings that have a very misguided agenda to suck everything into the phantom matrix, because that has no source of nourishment. So we're all energy, all right? And so we're so predictable. And so while we have this logical appreciation of what things should be, the WTF is the constant, alright? So it actually feeds the distortion, so we're wanting something other than what we want to feed the reality, alright? So you see like the level of cray-cray, it's like, say, the US president's son done all the frickin' most ridiculous stuff and it's supported. It's like the opposite is supported. It's like the most craziness to drive us nuts and want something other than what we want goes to feeding the reality, like I said, okay? So it's like the ultimate form of fuckery of a civilization, to not give us what we want, and that distortion just, it's nourishment for that, alright? So what I'm saying is, this is what's happening. This is how it all works. This is the reality mechanics. Because we haven't mastered manifestation, we don't take responsibility for our level of awareness and how much we, the aware, are feeding this. So we're actually creating the worst outcome for the unaware, if you want to take it to that level. And I'm inviting you to, alright? Just like the TV series Lost and all that sort of stuff. We actually don't need to go through that desert island sort of shit. What if we just pull ourselves back in this moment and recognize this right now? And in every breath, the moment we feel like we're pulling away from how we are totally on top of our game now, we take responsibility for what we might be feeding. What if just the couple hundred or whatever that see this decide from this moment on, fuck you, Metaguru, You're not feeding off me, dude. I have the potency of changing the whole reality in my mastery of this moment. Right? I see your game. I see what you want from me. And I appreciate it. I see your codependency on me. Okay? I see the majority of the bullshit teachers who keep changing who they're involved with because they keep getting busted or they're wanting fame, money, influence, not on the basis of truth, and they play irresponsible and stuff. I see your species behind the skin suit that are doing that. I see how vulnerable you are because you need us. And I'm not going to play the fucking game. I'm going to discern Andre the most here. Because if he's talking bullshit, then I'm not going to listen to him. But what if he is right, and the majority are wrong, and I've believed all this bullshit in the past and it no longer serves me? What if in this moment I choose to let go of all concepts that I've allowed that fed all this in the past? What if I allow myself to feel into these teachers and their frequency that is no longer a match because they're a match for this? And wonder why some people predict things and what, like 3D 5 cents, and they don't have any aspect or appreciation of the 250 billion year Metatron war that we've been in, right? What if in this moment I master my self-mastery, I become the director of my own destiny, and I no longer play this game? How much does this fail because of me taking responsibility for myself, choosing to heal when I want to go out and be angry and let all these other people know and project onto them what they aren't able to see that is selfish to me? What if I choose to see what I'm not willing to see? If I choose to be willing to see the influences on me that I have never really taken responsibility for? What if I choose the most thorough path and be willing to explore healing like I've never explored before? How do I negate all this? What becomes of my awareness after that? Alright? So, yeah. I'm not trying to make this too long or complicated. I hope these images help you a lot. I just got this really obvious inspiration in setting up for this healing session that we can do a bit better on the manifestation, guys. Just you guys that actually listen to me, that have come through all the stuff, that have probably explored everyone else, and you haven't seen improvement and stuff. What if you choose to be the improvement that we've all been waiting for and take your drive of your own destiny to another level and be the example for everyone else? I invite you here, guys. So thanks for finding me. It's a bit weird time. I'm going to just try and get this out as soon as I can. So when you see it, thanks. Yeah. Own the fucking driver's seat, guys. Like, everything is up for grabs. The system is so needy of us, right? What if you just say, fuck you and your energy harvest bullshit, your Phantom Matrix false teaching crap, and your minions, Metaguru, and all your fucking Thoth and Enoch and all that sort of fuckery that's gone on and created all this skin suit with all our codes. No more. Game over. Alright? Thanks, guys. I hope you get something from this. Lots of love and see you next time. Andre out.
Take my hand and fly away with me over mountains and seas, far away from the pain, to a place where we're all free, as we fly together, you and me. We will build a new world, still believing in love. I know that we will be together and free, together forever. Move on to an island across the sea, and fly away with me, over mountains and seas, far away from the pain, to the place where we're all free, as we fly together, you and me. We will build a new world, still believing in love. I know that we will be together and free, together forever. Move on to an island across the sea.
John Lilly once put it this way: there are no limits at all to the human mind whatsoever, except those we impose on ourselves because of our beliefs. And those limits are also beliefs to be transcended. And that's a view that suggests that the possibilities of human transformation are virtually infinite. And we have no way of knowing the outer horizon of what it means to be human.
And really, to understand all this, everything, you have to go very, very deep into a study of history, consciousness, neurophysiology, everything. You have to be the supreme eclectic type of leaning, and you really have to be wanting to know who you are and what everything's about.
And the thing that you'll find when you go to sacred sites, if you're very humble about it, is that you are on a personal journey, and the sacred site will respond to you in a way that is appropriate only to you. The information is always what you are searching for. And it's the intent you give that energy that defines whether it is used for right action or not. And it is inside these sacred spaces that you will be reminded that you are a god, that you are a bright star.
So what you're trying to do is move through the course without ricocheting off walls or creating karma. You're trying to slide through things smoothly. How do you do that? It's called flowing. There's a technique that you can do that will allow you to touch some part of your inner being that has more knowledge than your conscious state does.